I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, roll calls next. Floyd?
Here.
Dave?
Here.
Brenda? Here. Jimmy?
Here.
And Gavin isn't here yet. And then we have, what was your name again?
Austin.
Austin is here for represent Mara, the attorney.
Approval of the minutes.
Does everybody have a chance to look at the minutes? I know it's kind of...
Have a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
I'll second.
Everybody in favor say aye.
Aye.
Who's it?
Oh, I better sit by your window. I'll sit by your window.
Let's do claims.
Yeah. Okay, everybody's got a copy of the claims, you can look at them. You know, you don't have very, you just got them, but it's everything that we paid out since September the 19th, our last meeting, until today. Everything that was turned into me today. It's all the payroll and for the whole month and just different things. You can see it on there. It explains itself. Any questions, just fire away.
Do we have any questions on approval of claims? Jimmy, do you have any questions? Gavin? Dave?
Yeah, when's Todd going payroll?
You don't payroll.
When did he go? What is the date he on payroll?
Our last meeting was the 7th, or the 19th. He started on that Friday, the 20th.
So, did he do a background check and a drug test?
I think he has or hasn't he? I know Kay did a background check on him, didn't you?
No, I haven't done.
Oh,
Remember
that's
Zach
right,
asked you
Mosier.
about that. That was right
Mosier.
before Zach went on comp time. He had asked you about it, but I haven't done.
We have not done a
Zach said he
background
had.
check, and he has not had a drug test yet.
He has had a background check at the J County, so that should be,
Oh,
he
that's
should have
right.
gave you that for the file.
Oh, I don't know.
So he hasn't had a drug test done then?
No.
That's all that personnel policy says, isn't it? To be employed, you have to have a drug test.
Well, I know a couple others that haven't had them too, so, you know, I have been on the, I've got emails where I sent that one company.
Okay,
and
I guess
that
where I'm
girl.
going with the question is, Mr. Cable,
Yeah.
how long did you ride with Zach?
Oh, week, I think.
Did you get paid for that?
No, not before.
What was the
my
reason
drug-
behind it?
My drug screen and physical. But my drug screen, because I take Adderall, had taken about a week to get back.
So I guess my point is that he ought to be compensated for the time that he rode with him. That was my.
What was that again? I didn't hear it.
He rode 7 days, or 8 days, whatever it was, for nothing. He had to have a background check and a drug test before he was employed. Tom never did neither, or he never got the drug test. Not personnel policy. You know, when you go to work, you have to pass both. So my point is that he should be compensated for the time he rode the time, or rode it.
We were waiting for him to clear from the Adderall. That's what took so long.
Then just make a motion.
Pardon?
Make a motion.
I make a motion for Mr. K to be paid the 7 days, or how many hours it was.
I'll second the motion.
What? I'll third motion.
All in favor say aye.
Wait a minute, Mr. K?
Jimmy, we already voted. We already voted.
No,
Dave,
that's
he didn't,
it.
he still has a right to ask asking questions. Go
I mean,
ahead,
you can ask,
Jimmy.
yeah, what is it?
A week before that you rode that, did you ride before that with him?
One time,
Before you ever become the police officer, did you ride
Multiple
with him?
times.
no, one time before the voting, and that was with Taylor Hatzel, and it was, we went on the same day, because Zach wanted to see if we would even want to be a police officer, especially coming from my background, never being a police officer. I rode one time prior to that.
What about the high-speed chase you rode that time too? That's
That was
true.
right after I got
You weren't hired yet.
voted, but I got voted in.
No, you weren't hired yet.
But it was after the voting, so I guess what I'm confused on is how many, I think what Dave is running into is, so I rode one time, then I got voted in, and then the following Monday, I started riding with Zach, and then I rode up until then, until my background and drug screen came back.
Did we have to wait on the drug screen and everything before you was?
According to policy, we're supposed to do that, but Gloria's had an issue trying to get someone, we've called, we've been in contact with the Ready Med that goes into the Portland Hospital, the Ready Med up on Meridian in Portland, LabCorp, and we're having a hard time getting someone to contract with us. So I actually, because I carry a nursing license, called the health department, and they said that I could start doing them myself because I hold a nursing license in-house. So we're trying to contract with LabCorp, and then if somebody fails it, then they'll come and pick it up and go beyond that, because it has to, there's a chain of custody that you have to go through. So they're willing to do that, but the policy clearly states, and I have brought it up several times, that you know, they have to have the drug screen and the background check before working.
Was he allowed to
We
arrest
tried.
anybody when he was on that stuff? And I mean, was he allowed to make any calls like arresting stuff? Whenever he was, he had to wait on the drug test to come back before he could arrest anybody. Be a
He
police.
couldn't do that anyway because he hadn't been to class, Jimmy.
You have to pass, after you do all that, you have to then get signed up for what they call the 40-hour pre-basic. And it goes over about 40 hours worth of classwork, and then you have to do a gun qualification and well, first you have to go through the pre-basic, pass your 50-question test, which was the same day that I had the September meeting, right? Was that the?
You were finishing up
Yeah, that was
sometime
the day
in that
that,
meeting.
for the,
Yes.
one of the August meeting actually, it was the meeting before last. And then after that, I had to pass my gun qualification and then my defensive tactics class. And then after passing those, Gloria is allowed to swear me in.
Okay.
But until I get sworn in, I wasn't allowed to arrest anybody. You're not a police officer at that point. Like you're committing.
So you just ride to observe, you're not
Right.
allowed to do anything.
Right, yeah,
So
I
we're
wasn't allowed,
paid-
like, I had to stay in the car during anything until I got sworn in, and then I was allowed to start acting as a police officer.
Was that just, how long ago was that when he was doing all that?
It would have been in August.
An hour?
Yeah, and maybe early September. Our gun qualification got delayed by a week because during the middle of our gun qualification, somebody was shot in Winchester, so they called all officers. It was Randolph County that was doing the gun qualification. And so we had to come back a week later and then do it. So it's been, yeah, so I'd say beginning of September maybe, late
So-
August.
So Dave wants to pay you for a week that you were just allowed to ride in the car and not even actually be a cop. I mean, you do any arresting, do any tickets, do anything. So that's what he wants to do.
Yeah, I just job shadowed him. That's really what I did, was I just job shadowed him for that week.
Who's in charge of the police department?
Floyd,
Well, seems like to me he wouldn't all be worried about what's going on with him.
Well, I think he ought to be paid, but, you know, if you guys don't want to.
paid when he really wasn't even licensed to be a cop yet,
You
right?
did hire him, right?
We hired him.
What day did we hire you, John? What day was your actual hire date?
The date I got voted in,
No, your hire date. He's
Well,
wanting
you
to
got
pay you
voted in
before your
when you
hire
got
date.
my hire date would have been.
Your hire date was the day that you started getting
Yeah.
paid.
It would have been July 31st, I think is when when my background check came back.
So we voted that we would hire you as a cop, but your hire date, the day you started on your hire date, you started getting paid, correct? Your hire date, you started getting paid.
The day that my background check, or not my background, my drug screening came back, I was then starting to be paid after that.
You were hired that day. That was your official hire date.
Yes, that's the date that they,
And Dave wants to pay you for days prior when you weren't even a hired employee of Redkey. Because your hire date was not until the day that you started being paid.
right. I
And
think,
Dave wants to go back and pay you for days that you weren't even hired as an
You
employee.
voted to hire him before. So
Just
he needs to be compensated for the time he trained.
Dave, we voted to hire him, but he wasn't hired until a specific date. How can you pay somebody who wasn't he was paid as of his hire date?
Gloria got voted
Okay.
in January, she didn't start till January.
Yes.
Okay, so what are
Yes.
we paying Todd for then?
I think,
That's
He
what
didn't,
I
he didn't do
thought.
that, he didn't get his drug screen, so what are we paying him?
Exactly
Boggs didn't
what
get
he
one
said.
either. Boggs didn't get a drug screen or a background check as far as
I
I'm
don't know about
concerned.
that, but I'm
You
saying,
hired him, you hired him.
he was supposed to.
Yeah, he was
He
supposed
was
to.
Once again, he ran into snags.
I mean, we are not obligated to pay someone who was not hired.
I disagree.
No,
We
no.
done took a vote.
We haven't even all voted. I called the vote, but it didn't go through. And how can you pay somebody who wasn't
Yeah,
hired?
let's get the lawyers.
Listen to the lawyer.
And listen to the attorney.
I think this needs to be something that's proposed and brought up at a later meeting, because it doesn't look like we were prepared to discuss this. Is that true?
Alright, then we will table it
May
until the
I
next
say
meeting.
one last thing before you? I think how this got brought up was the day that Zach had talked to Gloria about it, because Todd, and I don't know Todd, I haven't done things on that, I think he was saying, you know, being paid before everything came back, where I didn't get paid before everything came back.
So Todd hasn't been
That
on
was, I think, I'm just saying, like, I
So we paying
actually,
him.
you can ask these
What do you
guys.
mean?
He hadn't had
I
a drug
didn't even
screen.
bring
He
this up.
has had a drug
I didn't
screen
talk
now,
to
because I
you.
did it in-house, and he has had a background check.
That sounds
Who did it
very
in-house?
sketchy.
I did.
You need to bring that up to vote on that, you need to do it. You got license to do it?
I'm a licensed nurse.
Can you see
Dave.
those?
You have.
Hey, let's move on to the next thing. We tabled it. Enough.
Alright.
Come on. This is
Well, I
ridiculous.
need a vote to table it till next meeting,
Make a motion to table it till the next meeting.
and let's vote. How do you vote, Gavin?
To table it till the next meeting.
So Jenny,
Hey,
yes, Dave,
No.
Floyd, yes, thank you.
I mean, is there any situation, there was a motion and a second for it, does that have to be voted on if there was, or can there be a call a table it in the middle of that? I don't know, I'm not.
Okay, so we need, okay, so what she's saying is that there was, a motion and Gavin second to give him the pay. So what I need to do is somebody needs to, make a motion to rescind that motion.
he made a motion to table, Gavin did.
But before that, before we
Yeah.
voted, we didn't vote it in.
Right.
So we need to make a motion to rescind that so that we can table it until next meeting when Mara's here.
All right, I make a motion we table that till we send it to the next meeting.
All right,
I'll second it.
all right. Vote,
Yes.
roll call, yes. Jimmy?
Yes.
Floyd, yes. Dave, no. Brenda, yes.
Everybody voted yes, but
Yes.
Dave?
Yes. So did we get a motion to, approve the claims?
Yeah.
We did?
I don't
No, I make a
know.
motion we approve the claim.
I need a second.
I'll second it.
Roll call vote. Floyd,
Yes.
Dave,
No.
Gavin,
Yes.
Jenny,
Yes.
and Brenda, yes. So we'll sign the claims.
How come you don't wanna agree to it, Dave?
That's none of your business. I have my own. I
I'm
have
just
my
trying
own
to,
opinion.
I'm not being rude or anything, I was just
You don't need
curious.
to know. I mean, it's
We
my
pass that
business,
to
you don't
Jimmy.
need to know.
Oh my gosh.
Why?
It usually runs smoother than this.
I was just
I
curious.
just don't know how much.
He doesn't come out there and ask anything, so why does he not approve the claims?
I don't want to approve the claim.
Look at him.
That's just it.
He wants to be the officer.
Let's move on, let's move on.
I don't mean to be mean or anything,
Hold on,
I'm
let's
not
just-
trying to
let's
be
move
mean,
on.
I was just curious.
Let's move on. We do have a new attorney. Her name is Mara Hoff. She's not able to be here. She was in Tuesday's meeting when we did have an open hearing to propose the budget for next year. If anybody's interested, we have 2 more meetings coming up, the next 2 Tuesdays at 6 o'clock here. We will be talking about 2025 budget, you're welcome to come. But we want to welcome Mara, she's friendly and amazing, and we just want to make sure that she gets a warm welcome.
I saw you and Jimmy were sharing pins.
Do what?
I saw you guys were sharing pins, so it's pretty much.
This is for you to sign.
I was in there.
Thank you.
Like I said, we did present that budget, and the next 2 meetings are, the next 2 Tuesdays. And then the adoption has been changed. We were supposed to vote tonight, but because we didn't have, all the paperwork that we needed for the budget, and we were unclear, the lady that did the budget is actually coming to the next meeting. What is her name? Janet Alexander is coming to the next budget meeting. She's the one that did the budget, and she'll help us understand it and make tweaks to it.
Brenda, do you have the 24 numbers yet?
Oh, you know what? I did not make you a copy, but here's one from the college girls that I made. I'll give you this one, and I'll make another one for the college girls before we pass that together.
Here, I'll take it.
That one I made for those college girls that are doing a paper on it, and then I'll just make them another one. Thank you, I'm sorry, Mark. So we will propose, to vote it in on the 29th of October. So, for business, zoning, I don't know that we're ever gonna get zoned. I mean, we were trying to work with Dunkirk, but they have a whole new, they have an amazing crew over there that works really well together, and they're doing a lot of different things. So, grants for Norfolk, I haven't heard from Nate in a while. He hasn't been to any of our meetings, so I don't know where we are with the playground merchandise that we supposedly got a grant for.
Brenda?
Yes.
I talked to him the other day, I was talking about the fire truck, and he said we missed the deadline on the Norfolk. He said he didn't have some information from.
That was a long time ago that we
Yeah.
applied for that.
We sent everything in.
I'll call him,
Link,
thank you. I'm gonna call Nate and see what happened with that. Because that was before Chance ever resigned that we were talking about that. So, I don't know how we missed it.
Yeah, all he said was that he was waiting for some information that he didn't get in time. I don't
So it wasn't us that did something.
Well, wait from you guys, yeah.
Oh.
Okay.
He came to the office that day and we submitted everything the day he was there.
We did.
Yeah, yeah, he came to the office, Nate did.
He opened up the website and you and him did it right there, I remember that, okay.
Has he ever been back since then? Was that the last time he's been
That's the
back?
last time he's been back, yeah.
There was probably something that I sent in that
We'll talk about it.
Thought he'd give it to us, didn't he?
Zach resigned, for the police. He resigned and his last day is the 22nd. He's on vacation this week until he resigns. Is there anything new for you, Mr. Cave, that you would like to talk about?
Do you want to go over what I've been doing?
Sure.
So, I feel like I've been sitting at High and, been sitting at High and Meridian a decent amount of time. You guys have seen me watch people run the stop sign. Some of them give me a quick little brake tap and run it. I'm sure some of you guys have seen me pulled over. I've been called a few choice words for pulling a lot of people over. So I've been doing a lot of time there, been doing a lot of time on 67, kind of making U-turns back and forth, around trying to notice, slow traffic down, and then on 1 as well. You guys will see me, usually on 1, the traffic runs faster at night than it does during the day.
Yeah.
So I've been sitting near Wayne Street. I have a friend down there that's a local that said I could sit towards the end of their driveway, and I've been sitting down towards that way, catch them come in. I've been watching a lot of those. I've been trying to, not only that, just learn more about the police business on that side of it. Notice traffic slowed down. I did decide to come in on a Saturday. I don't know if there's anybody here, but we had some calls about people going fast on Saturdays and Sundays. I take it back, it was Sunday I came in, and I was quite impressed with the level of traffic on a Sunday and how fast they were going. So you guys will see me out at different hours, different days. I try to do more than just a straight day shift. I try to tell Gloria, so if anybody, she'll tell you I'm pretty good about letting her know if I'm ever in town. I do pretty good. I think I messed up one day and didn't tell her.
You're fine.
But
You do
other
fine.
than that, I've been trying to tell, if she's not available, I'll tell Brenda, I'll tell, somebody knows I'm in town, when I'm in town. I've told Floyd before, like, hey, if I couldn't get a hold of somebody. So, for the most part, trying to do anything. It's trying to do more, I guess, trying to keep active, letting people know that there's someone in town. You guys might see me on your street a lot. I try to make at least 4 trips on every street. Somebody actually asked me, I'm not gonna mention the name, they're not here today, they've been here before, said, are you watching my house? And I was like, no, just making trips. She goes, oh, I've counted you 4 times. I said, yeah, that's probably my last time.
Oh, well.
So,
Doing your job.
I'm always around. I try to make minimum 4 times on each road. If you guys ever need anything, like, call the ladies up front, and I will make sure that I try to get to it as quick as I can. But also, like anybody, you can always ask questions. I felt Rondo a few times down there. But yeah, I try to been watching certain stop signs. I know there's some by some apartments. I've been watching not far from here. Trying just to make sure we can keep our community safe. I mean, that's the biggest thing. I really give out more verbal warnings than anything. At first, especially it's the first time, I think they're used to having only 1 police officer that can only work mainly 1 shift or sometimes a 2nd shift, but trying to be a hybrid shift. Like here lately, it's been 12 to 8, but don't be surprised and think you can speed either, because I was in here today a little early. So just make sure that we're trying to keep our community safe, I guess, for overall. Was there anything else?
Have you
we're
been
not
doing
gonna-
the traffic at the school anymore?
Not this past week I didn't, but I will be back there the week after next. I will be back to doing traffic duty on the afternoons.
We're not gonna vote on it or anything, but I want you to just let the council hear what you propose about, that they're trying to do away with the tier 2, police academy, and
Yeah.
I just wanted them to hear if at some point we would vote, which is coming up in January, right?
Yep. January.
To see if we could send you to tier 1 academy, and you would sign a 5-year
I said
contract with
I would sign a
Redkey.
5-year contract. If you asked me to sign more, I guess we could look into that. I was told through some references of other police officers, ladies, you can sit here.
Sorry.
That they're looking at possibly getting rid of tier 2 just because it's 10 weeks instead of the 16 weeks, and that would entail, like, there's a lot of stuff. They go over certain sobriety testing, some training of that nature, different testing, and also 6 weeks of training that you wouldn't get at tier 2. But they've also just talked about possibly getting rid of it. A friend of mine's also an instructor down there, and he said it's been in talks. He said government moves slow. He's like, but don't be surprised if it disappears. He said don't be surprised if it's still there either. But even if it's there, let's say, well, if it's still there, they don't get rid of it, that's fine. But also that 6 weeks of training that you guys might need me to have one day, especially if I plan on being here for a while, which I do. I think anybody's asking knows I really want to be here.
Good.
And that's 6 weeks of training that you one day might wish I had. So to help keep our community safe. That's the biggest proposal on it. The difference is like $540 or $550. Brendan and I looked at it one day for the tier 2. Tier 1 is $1,040. But I even said, like, I'll pay out of my own pocket if it just meant the extra training, if it was that big of a deal. As long as you guys are going to pay for my salary to learn for that extra 6 weeks, I'll pay for the cost of it. Or just if you guys decide to pay for it all, like, a lot of places are tier 1. But either way, I mean, just to give the community 6 weeks of training that one day you might think I might need.
So I'd like a motion to table that so that we can bring that up to Mara's attention and see what we would have to do to possibly make that happen, and then we'll talk about it again. So if we could bring that up, I would like a motion to table that.
I'll make a motion to table that.
Can
I wanna read this here if I can.
Let's vote first. So we got a motion on the table to table John Keeve's request for possibly sending him to tier 1 versus tier 2. And we'll also get the report back from the state police to see if they're actually gonna do away with it. Sure. And we'll bring it up tomorrow about possibly coming up with a contract that works. He's agreed to, for
You
the 5
second
years.
it, right?
Yeah.
And Gavin seconded it, so a roll call vote. Gavin,
Aye.
Jenny,
Aye.
Floyd, Dave, yes, and Brenda, yes, so everybody's yes. So, and Jimmy, what do you,
Yeah, I'd like to read this here. Redkey Police Department, 8922 West State Road 67, Redkey, Indiana, 47336. To whom it may concern, I, Zachy Moser, hereby resign all duties and responsibilities of the Redkey Town Marshal. The reason for this resignation is due to select town board members repeatedly violating town policies when it comes to discipline procedures and attempting to terminate me without having any sort of discipline hearing. I feel that I am being attacked due to personnel reasons from select board members, and they have shown repeatedly their willingness to violate policy and procedures to attack me on my job. I will be taking the last of my vacation pays, and my final day will be 10/22/2024. I'll return all property belonging to the town of Redkey prior to that date. If you have any questions, you can contact me at 765-744-2053. Mr. Cade, did he leave us any ammo?
I talked to Brenda the other night. There is approximately right around 400 rounds.
All right, he
Give or take a couple.
$2,000 worth of ammo, didn't he?
I don't know, that was before I started. A lot of that was before I started.
Well,
I will say-
I don't know how many in there did you get paid?
I wasn't up there, but according to Gloria, who is the treasurer, we haven't seen him in almost 4 weeks, right?
Yeah.
So he took 3 weeks of comp time and then a last week of vacation.
How do we check on his comp time?
I've got a paper I gave you, didn't I give it to you?
I don't think so. I mean, was that the one with all these hours?
Yeah.
That's his? Okay, can we get one from the Jay County on there, call in? The police department, when he calls up? When he gets on calls, when he gets his comp time, man. Or not, how's he get his comp time?
When did you get it? Well, you took it the first last.
You acquire comp time by working overtime. Sometimes that can be, I didn't mean to overtalk you, Gloria, I'm sorry. I just.
It
are
can
you-
be, he can be
Sorry.
called in or be in the middle of a wreck or
Right.
whatever and it take
Stay
him over
over.
his hours too.
That's how
That's how he gets his comp time.
But
Instead of being
Mara
paid
is
overtime.
working, before Mara left the meeting on Tuesday, she said she was gonna work on figuring out how, cause small towns, comp time does not apply the same in small towns as it does bigger towns. So she's got somebody in her law firm right now working on an ordinance as to what we have to, enforce for this. And she said, with us being a small town, when we, the council members, tell the police that they are not allowed to work over 40 hours a week, it's plain and simple. They don't work over 40 hours a week. That's what she told us. Isn't that right, Gloria? So, I mean, you were here, you heard it too,
Yeah.
Mr. Cave.
I did hear her say that. The biggest thing with comp time is that the county's always gonna call us out of bed for emergencies. Like, I talked to Ray about it, and they're always gonna still call us. So that'd be something that I would say the best thing would talk to the sheriff and the sheriff's department.
We will invite him to the meeting when she
And
comes up with
Try
it.
to get some sort of thing to where they're not, like, they'll still come out. Obviously, if it's an emergency, they're gonna send somebody out, but they're still gonna call us, and we should still be coming out. Now, the issue that sometimes runs overtime, so Brenda and I talked about even working 35 7-hour days, and understanding that in case I get called out, then all of a sudden I meet 40 hours. And then what if there's a week or two where I work 38 hours? As long as I'm still getting paid for my overtime, I'm willing to say on a couple other weeks that I work 42 or 43 hours to not be trying to charge the town 43 hours, 3 hours of overtime. And just understand, hopefully it kind of balances itself out.
Just understand, I never want you to work where you're not being paid for it. So if
Right.
you work 42 hours this week, you cut off the next week and the next week or
Right.
whatever to make
That's
sure
where
that
you
you're
get your comp
still
time.
getting paid.
That's where you get the
Yes.
comp
That's
time.
where you get your
Yes.
comp
So
time.
instead of paying us overtime on our paycheck,
So if you got 10 hours comp time in one day, you'd have how many hours in?
that'd be 15.
Can I say something, Brenda?
Yeah.
Rick Current worked for this town 20-some years. Tom Miller worked for this town 10 years. I worked for this town 13 years, and we've never heard of comp time.
Right.
If we could, we'd go home early sometimes to try to get some back, but we never heard of comp time. And the way that works, you have to have so many hours. I think it becomes minimum wage before you can actually turn in a claim.
Well, here's the thing though, with Redkey, our people are on.
They know what the job
a
is
trust
when they
system.
take it, and you guys all be, if you don't like it, then you need to look somewhere else. I get tired of hearing people whine about comp time.
Well, the new Indiana laws have changed though, Randy, and I do believe that there's laws out there that say that people have to be compensated for the time that they
There
put in.
is, but it has to be a bunch of hours, it ain't worth messing with.
Well, that's why Mara and her
Yeah.
law firm are gonna work on coming up with what it is that we have to adhere to.
Right, and just so we're clear, I never had an issue with comp time. Like, this is not me. I worked over one time, and we talked about that.
The problem is we don't have no way to validate it. So from now, what we did was now Gloria called the dispatcher, and the dispatcher sends Gloria, every Monday they send them a report of how many times they called our officers out so that we can take that and validate it with their time on their time cards, because we had no way to validate. All we have to do, we just are taking them for their words. And we want to be able to trust our employees to be able to do that, but we don't want employees that take advantage of us either. So now we're gonna get that report, and I will, when I sign the time cards or whatever, I will take that report and look at it and make sure that they did get called out at that time.
It's a take and give thing, so sometimes you work 50 hours, sometimes you only work 20.
Right, and that's what Brenda and I mentioned about, there might be some days that, as long as I'm getting paid my 40 hours, that's fine. I don't need the overtime, I don't need the comp time. I did not become a police officer for the money to begin with, and this is,
If you was in it for the money, you wouldn't be here, that's
right, and my thing is, I could care less about the comp time or the overtime, whatever they want to say that. All I said was that if I'm gonna work overtime, then Randy mentioned even like, you know, there's gonna be some weeks where I work less than 40.
Right.
And just hopefully it balances itself out.
Yes.
Like, so as long as the board is okay with, there might be a week where you have an officer that on paper may have been here at 38 hours, you're still gonna pay them for 40. Because the next week, they might have 42 or 45, and understand, you're just not gonna pay them comp time, and that's fine. If I'm agreeing to that, that's fine, like, and I do. I said that as long as they're fine with me scheduling in a couple hours to be kind of free there in case I get called out, or in case for the next week I work a lot.
We want to do what the law says that we have to do, so when their law firm gets back with us, we'll follow whatever it is.
What was the point, Jimmy? What was the point you was making?
You know what,
What
sir?
was the point you was making? What was the comment going?
Well, about comp time, he got 10 hours in one day plus an 8-hour work, so that's 18 hours. See, well, we ain't gonna, we're gonna straighten comp time out. The law's there.
The
We're gonna get
lawyer's
the law
working on
straightened
it,
out.
yes,
We pay a bill.
yes,
We're honest.
yes. Parks, how about you, Gavin, anything with parks? Nothing? Tag, sewer?
Sorry.
John's standing up, I'm gonna have to up my game because maybe start doing PowerPoint presentations and everything else and stuff, because he's another guy that's standing up and doing presentations. So everything was working great at the water and sewer plants.
He took lessons off of you,
I know, that's what I'm saying, I gotta like start doing PowerPoint, maybe having 3D stuff going on.
Yeah, he's good.
At the drinking water plant, there was this massive report, basically after Flint, Michigan, and the lead in the water supply. The EPA said, hey, we gotta pretend that we were doing something about it. So they said, we have to so the EPA said, hey, all towns have to show us exactly what your water mains are, and then also what are the material from the water main to the pit, and then from the pit to the house, to pretend that they actually do something. So basically they gave us like 2 years to do this. You know, surprisingly, nothing was done about it until I figured it out that it had to be done in September. So it was done, it was filed a day early than it was supposed to be. I want to give a huge shout out to Bill Tressler. He knew about 40 or 20% of the connections just from his head and stuff like that, so that was great help. Heather Waldo was not here, but she organized the list of all the people, but there's like 500 connections. I had to input all 500 and then go out to all the different meters and check what was going in and out of the meters. Brenda actually went out with her golf cart, opening up meters, digging out through the gunk and everything else and stuff just to see what was in there. So it was a monumental task, but I think through teamwork we got it done. And to my wife, who I've been an incredible grouch for the last month and stuff like that, so thank you for not kicking me out of the house. The next big thing though is there's a sewer master plan that has to be in order to separate out the sewer from the storm water from the sanitation water because of the flooding at the plant when anytime it rains. Again, we had like about 7 or 8 years to do this, and surprisingly enough, nothing's been done. So until I started. Lead line testing, there were 10 houses that we got waters for sampling for lead and copper levels. They all passed. It was awesome. There's another test that we ran this summer mandated by IDEM. It's trihalomethanes and haloacetic acids. They're byproducts of chlorine that's in the thing. They're very low, which is expected because our water comes from wells. If it was coming from a lake or something, that would probably be more of an issue. Hydrant flushing, we discovered that about for the last 3 years or so, the fire chief and the utility worker were debating on who should be flushing meters. It turns out that nothing was done, so we're going to be scheduling that for the next, at the end of this month and stuff.
I want to say the dates if you can give me just a second. So we're going to be
Sure.
flushing water hydrants in our town October the 28th through the 30th, and then possibly somewhere November the 1st through the 8th. They said they could probably have them done in 5 days, but we have extra days in there in case they get a water main break or something, they have to move away. So again, October the 28th through the 30th and November the 1st through the 8th, and our water could be discolored, and we need to make sure that we're not washing white clothes because you might ruin them with
But there's no
rust.
boil order.
Yep, no boil order, because,
Yeah.
yeah.
And what happens is that when the lines just get ironed, that precipitates out into the pipes and stuff like that, when you turn the hydrant on, that sudden rush of water will get that iron up and running around and stuff like that. So the water can turn yellow or brown. Again, it's just iron. You have the faucet run a little bit and stuff like that, and it'll clear out.
And that is posted on Redkey Town Hall, in
Yes.
case you forget.
Yeah. And Tressler's still working with the radio meters. He's got about 150, I think, installed right now. But he's been super busy with the Miller Pipeline folks. On the sewer side, we identified that there were 8 belts on 4 different machines that were getting old, and so it was recommended that they be changed out. I got a quote from the manufacturer for 1 belt, and it was $550, which I thought, well, that's a little high, so I went to another company and stuff. We opened up the machine, figured out what type of belt it is. They're basically timing belts. I found something where we can get all 8 belts for $640 rather than 1 belt for $550. So I think we may go for the lower one if that's okay.
Yeah. How much was it, 600 and what?
$640 for 8 belts.
From where?
I have the quote somewhere else. I just haven't had a chance, but it's the same manufacturer for the belts, the same everything and stuff like that. But the people that sell you the equipment, they just kind of upcharge a little bit, obviously. And $550 for 1 belt.
Yeah.
So. Finally, there was we had an issue with basically the influent pumps that pump the sewage from, it's at 40 feet below ground when it comes in, it pumps it up. Those were kind of cavitating a lot. There was there was also a blockage that came in. Tressler suggested raising the level of in the influent well from 3.5 feet where the influent pipe is to 5 feet, so that the pipe is totally underwater. You're not pulling in air. You're not causing cavitation. That's been working like a charm. And finally, there's a ditch, oxidation ditch. I don't know if you ever go by the sewer plant. There's a big thing that has these wheels that turn. Turns out that you can actually reduce the power on those, and so that they don't have to run as hard. And the plant still was working great, so I dropped the power on those by about 20%. So that's going to obviously reduce power usage, but also save on equipment usage and equipment wear and tear. So that's about it.
Yeah. Real quick, in case some of you guys don't know, like, I know I recently got to know Ted, his wife Sarah, a little bit. Very sweet
Not
people.
under arrest.
Not under arrest. Very sweet people. But also, real quick, will you say your degree? What your degree is in?
It's in molecular biology.
So,
In what?
Molecular biology. So I was making recombinant retroviruses and using those for gene therapy purposes back in the day, and then I segued into the pharmaceutical industry. And
So we should be wearing a mask in here, he's a bug.
oh, I thought you meant the body odor. Okay, that too.
what I wanted to just say is like, Ted's a very smart guy, probably one of the smartest people I've ever met. And I feel like some of the stuff he's saying, like, he's saying it because this is some of the stuff that has to be done, like when he's talking about the chemicals and the changing of stuff, like he wouldn't be up here just needing it. So if anybody's ever curious on that, I would say always try to reach out to the water department, talk to this guy, he'll explain it to you.
Yeah.
It just very, very smart and knows what he's doing, knows water. I mean, I can barely pronounce his degree.
He knows a lot of poop now too.
Yeah, so let's,
He knows he's poop.
and you said you got that
There
done a
they
day
go.
early, right?
Yeah.
I got that file a day early, yes.
And being a day early, how long had it been since it was due? Like, how long have they been telling us?
2 years.
And how long have you worked for us?
I worked since July 1st, or I guess June 20
I
something.
think everybody should give me a round of applause for being able to do this.
And also just to, on John's point, like if anybody wants a tour of the plants or whatever, they don't smell. Bill came by and stuff like that and just kind of wanted to see what was going on. Also, Bruce, I'm forgetting my own brother-in-law's name.
Grady.
Bruce Grady came by with his grandson, gave him a tour and stuff. It's interesting. It actually is kind of, well, I try to make it interesting, but.
We're lucky to have him.
Yes, we are.
So I need a motion then, to approve his $644 for the belts,
I make a
please.
motion to approve the $644.
A second? And, okay, Floyd seconded it, Floyd. So, a roll call vote, everybody say aye?
Aye.
Yeah, aye. So everybody with an agreement?
I think he got a little
So
bit
did you hear
of
it?
intelligence from his wife.
Yeah. So Ted, your $644 for your belts was approved, so you can order those, okay? What is, Gloria, this Perry Protec, this is for you.
Oh, yeah,
Wait a minute, I skipped streets, let me go back to streets. Dave, you got anything on streets? Well, the paving should start, the pipeline got with the streets, and they got all of the cuts done in the streets now that are due to be paved, so they should be it's Tyler Hatzel, he should be starting with his crew, they said sometime like the last week of October or something, so the streets that they approved last year are gonna be paved.
good job.
Yeah.
So when did that start, or when is that starting?
It's supposed to start, yeah, he said it has to do before the weather gets really cold, because you have to have some, certain temperature, I think it has to be 42 degrees or whatever, but he said, like, the second or third week of October, they should be starting to pave.
Yeah.
So now, I'm sorry,
Okay, that's
Gloria.
okay. This Perry Protec was they sent us an invoice. It is for a maintenance agreement on we had 3 printers in our office, one at Billy's desk, one at my desk, and then the main one. And it's the one at Billy's and the one out in the middle. So we have a maintenance agreement with them. It's $533.91 for a year, I think it is, yes. And I brought up the bill that they had when they got the printers in 23. September of 23 is when they bought the printers. And the maintenance agreement was in on that for $300 and some. Yeah, 1, 2, 3.
Around 200 something.
Yeah, so that's what
It's
I'm.
$500 a year for them, they send ink and they service both
Yeah.
printers if they break down, so.
They're
we need a
supposed to
motion
So they'll
approve
keep us
that.
the 8 too.
That's what they said. I called her. She said,
Soon
because
as
I
go in the
got the maintenance agreement. Yeah, I did get that. I couldn't have forgot.
Large ship that's all in the papers too. We're using
Yeah, we use a lot of paper.
So we
you're
need a
right.
motion to approve that so that they can continue servicing the printers.
You know, so
at the
far we
office.
haven't had any problems,
I'll
but,
make a motion.
I need a second.
okay.
Floyd or Gavin, okay, both of them. Floyd and Kevin seconded, so
Who first?
Floyd,
Second?
yeah. Roll call vote,
Yes.
Gavin, Jimmy,
Yes.
Floyd, Dave,
Yeah.
Brenda, yes.
Well, get Ted to work on it.
Yeah.
In my free time.
While you're on break down there.
Who needs sleep?
So,
It won't happen.
there has been a request to change our monthly meeting to the last Tuesday of the month, starting at the first of the year, because we have some people that go to church on Thursdays that are in our council. And so, I just wanna know what the crowd thinks and what council members think about changing it to the last Tuesday of the month.
So the 4th or the last Tuesday, because sometimes there's a,
Well, the fourth Tuesday of the month, I'm sorry. So the fourth Tuesday of the month is what we would do it at 6 o'clock instead of a Thursday. Also, getting it out of this week, we're not reading meters and trying to do all that other stuff in the process, so. Anybody in the crowd have an
Sounds
issue?
good.
And it won't start until January, because if we started it now, it would interfere with Christmas and with Thanksgiving, so.
I just think if it's interfering with someone's church, yeah, change it. Sounds good to me. I'm fine with it if everybody else has an opinion.
The big thing, in case the crowd doesn't know, if you ever seen Gloria and Billy in the office on Thursdays, when we have meetings,
Let's hear it.
I've offered to help them just on my own, like, you ladies ever do, you know, like, trying to be nice. It is hectic, especially during this water meter process and reading. It would be very beneficial to Gloria and Billy. If you guys don't know Billy, she works in the office. And as well, it would be beneficial for them to make sure, it'd give them more time to prepare this meeting even better.
So does the council want to table it and think about it, or does the council want to vote?
I'll make a motion to vote to change it.
To the fourth Tuesday of the month, starting in January of 2025. Do I have a second? Jimmy has a second. And a vote. Floyd? Are you,
I don't care.
yes or no? Floyd is a, Floyd, yes?
Yeah.
Okay, yes.
He
Dave?
gets easy.
David, yes. Gavin? Jimmy? And myself, yes. So we will be changing it to the fourth Tuesday of the month, starting the new year. So, then we need to discuss Zach Miller, Bruce and Tressler and, Todd and Ted have, made me aware that in doing his house out there across from the dollar store, that he has taken out several water meter bases. They're completely missing. They've just been towed up and we can't even find them. And
What's the ordinance say?
the ordinance clearly says that it's not allowed, so I did have, the last lawyer was supposed to be looking into it and
$500 fine, I believe.
never got back with us, so, I'm gonna get, Mara has all of the ordinances now. I took her the whole book of the ordinances and so I'm gonna present that to her tomorrow for her to help us come up with something to fix that issue.
I believe there's a $500 fine for tampering with the meter pits.
For what?
For tampering with the meter pits. He took me.
So is that per meter pit? Because-
They might be,
Did you say 500 each or 100?
500. Question,
Oh, goodness.
500. Dave, do you know what ordinance that is under?
They have the sewer ordinance, I'm sure.
Okay. Well, wouldn't it be water because it's a water thing instead of sewer?
Could be.
Alright, so I'll look under the sewer thing again, water thing again. I read it, but I even read the utility one and I couldn't find all of it, so.
I mean, the water ordinance.
Okay.
Brenda, on this Zach Miller deal, what water meters is he covering up? Is that where the old church was at and the house was there beside of it?
I don't know, he's just flattening all that and building onto his own property, and in doing that, instead of working around those pits, he just kind of, took them completely out. And what Tressler's afraid of is if he gets a hold of, if something's still attached to that and he digs and pulls, it will, destroy the main, and then we'll have a water main break.
What he's supposed to do if he's going to put a swimming pool there on top of it or something? or what?
He's not, it just looks like grass to me, like he's just flattening the yard. So, I guess that's just something that Mara's gonna have to work on it with the ordinances, and then I don't know if she'll have to get, Mr. Cave
I know
involved.
there was a church there years ago, and he tore that down. And there's a house beside it, he tore that down.
And then I also know
Yeah,
that
but
the.
he ain't messing with the church property right now, where they're talking about, it's out there in his front yard.
There is meters there where that church is at.
Well, there was 2 meters on Oak Street that he destroyed, and I think 1 or 2 on 67 that he destroyed. And then also, I know that the fire marshal stopped in the city building and had some grave concerns of some of the well, I don't know, some.
The big tanks?
The tanks and what he was holding in those tanks that are on the property, he had some concerns with that too. So what do we do about, I mean, where do we go with that, Mark?
I honestly don't know.
So is that something I should,
Something that big, I'd have a containment dog or containment pit, hold the fuel if it breaks over.
so, but I mean, do we get the attorney, I mean, what do we do about it,
Fire
Dave?
marshal should be able to.
Fire marshal.
Like, so Randy needs to be involved with Randy and then a bigger fire marshal, so will you,
So the fire marshals who stopped and talked to you?
yeah, who was it?
He
Do you
didn't
remember?
say.
We have it wrote down in the office
Yeah.
somewhere, but he
Call
did
him.
stop in with some concerns.
Yeah, that is
Oh, the
called.
guy
Yeah.
from Fort Wayne?
Yeah,
That he's
Gloria
not-
has his card,
Yeah.
okay? So will you make
He
sure
was
that Mark
concerned.
Lovell gets, the name
Yeah.
and the phone number of that, fire marshal?
Yeah.
All right,
You can wrap it up real quick.
yeah, Colinda Anderson called and asked if we, the town, would supply a huge dumpster for everybody in the town to dump in, and I think that, you know, we have our annual 2 times a year that we put out, and then everybody has as many, I mean, they can have up to 3 toters or whatever, or 4, some people even have 4, so I don't think that we should pay for a dumpster somewhere. What do you guys think?
The reason that was mentioned was because people keep coming and dumping their trash out here at the park,
Right?
and
We're always gonna
and
have
they
that.
mentioned that, yeah,
Yeah,
that's why she
I
mentioned
know that
it.
Mr. Cave's been doing a lot of runs out here at the park, and he's caught some mischievous stuff going on out
Yeah,
here,
yeah.
so.
I don't know. I guess I'm kind of glad it's on live.
Right,
I would say there's been times I've found kids that are a little too young to be out by themselves, out running around. I also don't want to seem like the weirdo cop rolling my window down asking why they're out at, why 2 little girls that look your daughter's age are out at 9:30 at night. And it's like, and then you see them again. So, but, because you never know what they're up to, because you're a police officer and their natural instinct is to jump if you ask them.
right.
So they look suspicious, they don't look suspicious. But yeah, I've been catching a few people out here, and not just them, I found some adults. And yeah, I try to make
Have you
patrols
seen
through.
anybody dump trash out here? In the dump?
The only person I've seen dump trash is myself, and that was for the office list.
Yeah.
So is everybody on the council
We have
agreeing?
permission.
Is everybody on the council agreeable that we don't want a dumpster for,
Why don't you put up some security cameras around here?
it's called cost right now, so we have to see what's in the
There's some cheap
budget.
systems out there.
But we don't even have Wi-Fi out here.
You don't need it.
For most security cameras you do.
I'll get with you
A
on
lot
some.
of them
Okay,
have-
alright. We'll,
Trail cams.
yeah, trail cam's a word, but yeah.
Maybe
We're gonna
it's
monitor
stolen.
those. You?
I
Is
mean,
that gonna be on your plate?
yeah, I mean, I already have
Cause I have a couple, I'll give you the.
I use white eye cameras, at my personal gym.
Okay.
But, I mean, there's cameras, I mean, it's easy to wire those in, I can make it a mobile app
They'll be
and put it on your
stolen.
phone.
Yeah.
Okay.
That can run on SD card or Wi-Fi. I mean, I can put it on whoever's phone you want me to give permission to, and then go from there, and also put it on a computer.
Well, if you could just get me an estimate on cost, then we can talk about it. So we'll table that. We'll
They're
table
about
the
$100 a
cameras out
camera.
here,
For about $100 a camera.
and then we'll talk about it again next month.
And you get them in a 20-pack.
Can I have a motion to table that, please?
Yeah, so you're.
I think we do.
Somebody will just shoot it.
Yeah, I'll make a motion.
I said,
Alright, can I have a vote
You know, wait around.
that we're gonna table talking about the cameras and we'll bring it up next month? Is that okay?
That'll work.
Dave, yeah. Jim and Gavin, yes, and myself, yes. Alright, so we're not gonna put a dumpster and we're gonna table, cameras. So Brett St. John advised of a pole on a sidewalk at 232 East Bell Street causing kids to walk in the road and would like to have it fixed. He will fix it if paid. I don't know what this is all about. I'm not.
He called me and where he lives at the intersection, I went by to look, there is a pole
Where's
right
the
in the
intersection?
sidewalk, right at the edge of the sidewalk, in the middle sidewalk. And when I looked, it looks like a bunch of grass around it.
Where's the intersection?
Of
It's Bell.
Bell and
Harrison?
where Mrs. Coons lives.
Who?
Miss Ruth Coons.
Oh, that's
George
That's
Street?
George.
Okay, George and Bell, right there on the
Yeah,
corner.
that's George.
And he said, there's a bunch of grass around it and stuff, and he said the kids, instead of going in his yard, they're walking out in the road when they come home from school. And he was just concerned about them getting hit, and he said that he would like the city to do something about it. He said he would do it if they paid him, but he just was worried about the kids being out in the road when they come by every day from school. I don't know what it is, it just like a bunch of dirt around a pole. I don't even know what kind of pole it is. But I did go by and see it right in the
How
sidewalk.
much does it stick up?
It's tall.
Oh,
Is it a
I
light
was just
pole?
thinking
A
a
telephone pole? What kind of pole?
I don't know, I didn't pay attention.
Is it a person on his personal property?
No, it's on the sidewalk, right in the middle of the sidewalk.
Hmm.
Have you guys ever noticed it?
No.
I never either till he
Well,
told me.
we'll look at it and we'll table that again until
Yeah.
next meeting and
Just
then
go
we'll
by and
talk
look
about
at
it,
it.
so.
You probably
A
check it
motion
out
to
every
table
5
it,
minutes.
please.
I'll make a motion to
Yeah.
Sharon, second it.
Which side of Ruth Coombs's house you talking about?
It's on, you know the
half a month.
thing where Gary Walsh used to own the house right across from
You
Ruth?
have to know.
It's right there on that main sidewalk.
Roll call vote to table. Dave, yes. Floyd,
I'll walk through the roll.
Gavin, yes. Jenny, yes. Lindsay,
I
yes.
rode down there every day.
All three, okay.
All right, Lindsay Funkhauser,
Yeah,
it says that you want to talk about the chickens.
I do want to talk about the chickens. I personally feel like we do live in a very country, rural area. Hartford can have them, Muncie's now allowed to have them. Now I would suggest we do have a limit per se, like nobody has 30 plus chickens or something. But I feel like a couple hens laying chickens, that's not a problem. Now I understand roosters, I understand ducks, I understand things that make the noise, but why hens?
No, we are working on that.
We've already passed the first motion to amend the ordinance, we just have to vote again and it'll be.
Well, I would like to vote. I personally have some. Me and Kate have been talking about it. I would personally feel like we should be able to vote on that as all of us. Because I don't understand what the problem of having a few hens causes for a city.
We are working on getting that. I mean, we already said that we would amend the ordinance and remove chickens from the, animal ordinances. That's what we do. So we're just waiting on Gavin's.
I already gave you.
I never got
In
no
all the
ordinance.
reviews I've
We have
read
an
from-
ordinance today.
Yeah, but it has to be a specific kind of ordinance. It has to have numbers on it and everything on it. I mean,
The
it's
numbers
state
are on
law.
this one.
Chicken ordinance, is
No.
that what it is?
It
Yeah.
says how big it could be.
No, I'm talking about it has to be numbered, it has to be all of that stuff, and you can't just vote on it today. You have to bring it to a board, you have to vote on it the first time, and then you have to bring it to another meeting.
This
So
has
we have
been
to have-
brought up previous
From
times before,
February.
like you just said, it's been.
We agreed to
before.
remove, listen, I'm not
You've
fighting
already
you that we're
made-
not going to have chickens.
Yeah, we
The
all
only thing that
would.
we're not gonna have is
We do.
So why am
roosters.
I gonna get fined?
Who's gonna find you?
Do you have roosters?
That I got rid of, yes.
Oh.
Then you're not gonna be fined.
Is that not what he just said yesterday? We would get fined.
Basically, that we had to get rid of the chickens and everything.
And,
He said that.
and when Mr. Cape called me, I told him, I said, you probably shouldn't have told them that it was chickens, just the roosters, because we amended, we are in the process of amending the ordinance to
We voted on
remove
the
chickens
one
off.
that
We
we.
But as of like,
We already made one.
but
never voted on an ordinance,
Yeah,
we
we did.
voted to
We did.
adopt the chickens,
No.
or to remove the chickens off the ordinance.
Yeah, we have voted to amend the ordinance and I already gave you.
You
the
wrote
new
something.
ordinance.
You did not give me an ordinance, the one you gave me, I sent back to you with numbers changed on it, and I never got the next copy, Gavin,
But
I gave it to
wasn't
Ted.
wrong.
to give.
Gavin,
To Gavin,
we took a
or whatever.
vote to amend it and we all voted yes.
Yeah, I'll go.
To amend the ordinance, yes.
There wasn't anything wrong with it, the numbers weren't wrong.
It had to be 20, yeah, the numbers were wrong.
Well, we can still vote and just change the number, the ordinance.
I'm not saying that we can't vote, we just have to do it today, and then we have one more meeting, and then it's an ordinance, that's all I'm saying, it has to be,
This would be the second vote today.
This would be the second vote. We did our research. We
I
watched
need
the
to-
meetings.
do you know?
It wasn't the last meeting, there wasn't at the last meeting, it was the meeting before it, we voted.
We voted that we would amend the ordinance and remove chicken ice cream.
Hey,
It doesn't
Hey.
count. Wait a second.
No, it doesn't.
No, it doesn't, let the lawyer talk.
Well, that's what I was asking.
Go ahead.
No, I didn't hear
I
it.
thought that what we
So
did.
what she's saying is you guys voted to amend the ordinance,
So we have to
but
do-
the rest, that doesn't count as one of the two times that the ordinance is presented in its final form.
Would this be his amendment?
Which is according to the lawyer, you have to vote that you're gonna amend it, then you have to bring the ordinance to the next meeting, you have to read the ordinance to the public, then you have to vote again that you will accept it, and then the next meeting again, you have to bring it up again, that you talked about it in the last meeting, and what was changed about it, and then you can have it as a final vote, but that's the law.
So
Mr.
is it
K
still being
has-
finalized?
Huh?
Where are you at with the ordinance? Is it still being finalized?
Mr. K.
We haven't even brought the ordinance, I mean, he has.
You guys are still working on it?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
So,
Officer Kayhauser,
just
something
so I,
about that.
no, I'm clear, so we voted last time that we can't amend it, correct?
And remove chicken.
Right, and then this one, I can present what I brought up, and then vote on that one, and we'll vote on it again the next month. Correct?
No, we don't. You don't have the ordinance, do you?
Well, he wrote up something like this, but this
This
is
is-
not
that's
an
not an
ordinance. It has to have all of the state wording on here and stuff, and that's what I'm trying to explain to them, but
But you take the ordinance and you do your paperwork and you bring it back, correct? That's the way it runs.
You can write the ordinance.
Yeah, we're in the, I assume you talk tomorrow, we're in the
So-
process of making.
yes.
We can look at that and we can vote on that to accept that and you can make an ordinance, correct?
No, the ordinance itself needs to be presented. This is not the ordinance.
No, this year is just what he turned in.
Right.
This is just for what.
This is the
ordinance
stuff that
would-
will be added into the
This is what would
ordinance.
be part of the ordinance.
Right,
Right,
but
this
it's
is
not
the
the,
stuff-
it's not
right.
the ordinance itself.
Well, yeah, correct,
Yeah,
because
here
it's
it
not been voted
Here
or
it is.
anything.
So,
I'll make a motion to accept this change.
Yep.
I remember he voted to change
there are
it.
state laws, Dave, that we have to go by.
That
He
man
just
right
said
there,
that.
that man takes this right here and he puts stuff in the wording, in the language, and we vote on the ordinance. That's how.
Would you
So you
please
guys-
tell him that we
You
still
guys,
have,
you guys have already voted to change the ordinance,
we
right?
voted to remove chickens from the animal ordinance. We voted to do that.
Okay, that's what it's been amended to.
This isn't an ordinance.
Can you?
No,
write
but
that?
we can vote on this and you can take it and make it an ordinance.
We can't vote till he makes it an ordinance.
We
You guys-
can't vote the
you guys
ordinance,
have
even if we
already
vote on
voted to
this,
make-
we still have to bring the ordinance to two times to a
Let
meeting.
him
I
talk.
understand that, but he takes this and he makes the ordinance up.
Let's hear the
Right,
law.
that's already
Let's-
happened.
yes.
You guys have already done that process.
Okay, so why don't we just vote on it then to accept the new ordinance?
Where's the ordinance at?
This isn't the ordinance.
They haven't made it yet, they're going to take that and
What
make
did you
it.
say, Dan?
Must have the ice.
He's done talking.
No,
Oh,
Dave, there's laws.
please.
We have to follow the law.
I understand that.
We all want chickens, so
Listen,
nobody.
let the lawyer talk, and that's what we're gonna do,
Yeah.
so, go ahead.
So they're in the process of making these changes to the ordinance.
Who's
correct?
they?
These two, they've been talking about giving.
It's not all about them, it's about all five of us sitting here.
Yeah, everybody
But
agreed,
Gavin wrote it up.
Yes.
but there hasn't been.
There
This was
Okay,
not,
so what's the problem with making a vote on this?
Kate wrote this one up, this is not the one that Gavin wrote up.
I thought the one that I gave you guys was good to go. I thought it had everything that it was.
Do you have a copy of
I
that?
don't remember seeing
No, I
it, did
don't
you see
have
it?
You guys don't have it, so it doesn't even.
We'll just.
Right, so we will, bring the ordinance to the next meeting and we'll vote on that ordinance.
And then you have to vote again.
And then we have to vote one more time for it to be an ordinance.
Okay.
So am I gonna get fined for having my hens until this
No.
gets passed? That's
No,
what I'm more
no,
concerned
no.
about.
No.
No,
Yeah.
No.
Oh,
You don't have a rooster, right?
No,
Because
it's not.
a rooster is not a part of the ordinance that we voted on. You can't have
Oh,
a
I know,
rooster.
I have the ordinance in my pocket. I
Alright.
looked all that up before I came in.
Alright.
That's good, yeah.
For me as a police officer though, so,
Yes, don't give them a ticket for the
Yeah.
chickens.
Yeah, you have them looking really bad coming to people's house saying, oh, you have to get rid of your animals. I mean, this town already thinks so low of the police officers around here, and then you have them telling people they can't
Because
have
the last-
animals.
That's
well,
not.
the last,
Let me tell you
That
something.
is true.
I did not tell Mr. Cave to go to your house and write you up for chickens.
I never
told-
got told that you did,
Oh, but you're looking at me saying that, so I'm taking that as a.
because you're the president of this council.
But he was
Calm
supposed,
down.
he was supposed to go, he was
This is
supposed to go and tell you guys that people were complaining of the neighbors.
I went around to our neighbors and I asked, and they didn't say anyone complained.
Okay,
Nobody complained.
Well, let's not fight about it.
Maybe they don't want to go to
yeah, maybe they don't want to fight with you.
Yeah.
You don't want to say anything, they just want to.
I just don't think it was the neighbors that complained.
the last time,
Well, if it, well,
I was
I'm sorry,
told-
it was the neighbors that complained.
All right.
Thank you.
the last I heard was that we weren't allowed to have chickens.
What?
The last I heard is that we have an ordinance against chickens,
We do.
and I had to,
Gavin voted not last month, I think it was the month before, or even the month
So-
before,
so
to
we are gonna have
remove
chickens.
chickens from the animal ordinance.
we're gonna have chickens, if you got chickens now, just keep them till we have an ordinance,
There
to
you
have
go.
chickens.
Then why are the police showing us for
They
a
have
Because
house?
of roosters, because somebody complained of
Somebody
roosters.
complained.
roosters.
the
Cause you
complaint,
had roosters, honey, that's why.
I understood the
But now that
complaint,
you don't, you're
But it
good.
was not-
You're
I
good.
understood, I understood
You're
the
good.
complaint as, I understood the complaint as, they can't have chickens or roosters or whatever the case may be.
No.
Oh,
Okay,
yeah.
you just hold your horses until we get this ordinance on chickens.
Right, I just wanted to make sure that I'm not gonna be telling you
It's-
Don't go by nobody's house trying to get them
It's
chickens.
roosters,
All right.
they're not allowed to have roosters.
Jesus
And it's
I
gonna
like
say
a
that
rooster
way, is
looking
that
at
what
the
the
morning.
new
Yes, yes, the new ordinance.
What about my peacock?
Not your alarm clock.
We gotta get an ordinance on that. We gotta get a good ordinance on that.
Okay, so I have animal control here from Portland that would like to speak.
Okay.
We voted in the last meeting to do away with the contract from the animal control because when we called, we weren't getting any response. They said the police had to go out first or whatever, so they weren't coming over, and it just seemed like we weren't getting any help. And I went to the animal shelter and actually spoke with them in regards to the contract, and I didn't get anywhere. So I'm glad that you're here to explain.
Well, my name is Mindy Weaver, and I'm treasurer of the board of the Jay County Humane Society. And so I'm part of the board of directors, and also have been integral in the new facility and animal control contracts and so forth. So first of all, I apologize as a board member. I did not know there was a problem until I read it in the paper, well, until someone told me it was in the paper. So I apologize for the lack of communication, obviously. This first year has been a learning curve, I'll be honest, but the board was not aware there was an issue. We aren't a facility that has a super high pay rate, and we've had some turnover, and so I can't speak to maybe who all you talk to and so forth. They might not even be part of us anymore, I don't know, but so I'm just here to kind of apologize. I do know we have done animal control in Redkey, evidently not to your satisfaction, but I mean, I know right now we have 6 animals from this town, so I don't know where all the confusion came, and moving forward, we learned from it, and we will hopefully do a better job with our other contracts. I mean, I think those are going fine, so I don't know what all the issues were, but I apologize from the board of directors. In hindsight, being the first year, it would have been smart for us to have maybe said, hey, after 6 months, let's get together and see how this is going, because it's totally new for our board, and it was new for you too, so, just here to kind of say, I don't know a lot of the details. I just do know that we have made calls here, and,
Well, I have a question. I might be wrong, because I don't have a very good memory, but I thought when the lady came here the first time, she said that if people had lots of cats and stuff that they didn't want, that they would pick them up, and they had people that like lived on farms that would take them, that they would definitely take the animals and that they wouldn't just be free. And I've called at least twice, and I know other people about a family, different families here that has several cats that they can't afford to feed, and but every time we call there, they say, we can't just come take their cats.
so I can't speak for, like I say, I don't even know if those people are working anymore for us, but, so we do have an animal control officer, and we have a new one. I think that some of these problems are being worked out, but I do know we have made some calls over here about cats. Here's another thing, we kind of learned when we were a Humane Society, we went out and got animals and whatever, but we're finding that legally, there's some limits to what we can do. So I do know we've made some calls over here about cats, and the people were not cooperative, because we said, we'll take all of your cats right now, today, and the people were not cooperative, and I thought they reported back to the town, but I don't know that for sure. So at that point, we would have needed, what we should have done is follow through to make sure we did, and that we should have gotten a police officer to go with us and do any legal things so that maybe we could have taken those animals.
Thank you.
Do we need a specific ordinance that would help? I mean, do we need a specific ordinance for animal control that would help if we chose to link up with your contract again at some point? That would help the cops, the police
Maybe,
officers.
or maybe we just work more closely. At the time, I feel like you didn't even have a town marshal, maybe when we first.
Or he was at an academy or something, maybe?
Yes. And so, we should have worked more closely with that person too, so that they knew us and had the right phone numbers and could get a hold of our animal control officer and so forth.
This is what this is what we voted on.
I didn't speak on this, but Zach had mentioned whenever at the meeting when we voted for that off, about, I think the big issue was that and not myself, this was before I started, was when we would reach out, when we would reach out, there was not anybody coming out, or they wouldn't come out for a few days, and it's like,
Right.
this animal's gonna be back home, wherever it is, after it's done terrorizing. I mean, I'm not even opposed to, as long as someone provides the equipment to doing animal control and taking it there at that point. But the biggest thing is that just the communication and getting in a timely manner, which I get, there's only 2 people in the whole county. There's only 2 people in the whole county, like, I'm not opposed to helping, and I don't really have a fear of animals, I love animals, and, getting them to you, as long as then we know we have a place where we can actually securely take them.
And I know the contract had some language in it about a certain amount of time and so forth, so I can't speak to that. I can just apologize if that happened. I do know we do have animals at our facility right now that are from Redkey, so, but obviously not maybe all of them that were called out.
Are your contracts still worded the same now, or are they different? They are still worded the
What's the
exact
timeline on
same?
that?
Huh?
What's the time limit on their contract that they have to come out?
I don't know, because we already voted to cancel the contract.
Well, we got an invoice that.
Do you happen to remember what it was?
I think it depended on if it was our open hours. I think just in the time to get here.
Right.
And if it was off, when it wasn't in
After
our
hours.
open hours, in a timely fashion. I mean, it was reasonable, but I don't know off the top of my head.
I mean, I feel like nice to, if you guys can't come to us, if we could get an animal to you, even if someone can just meet us there with that.
Well, and again,
Like
it
that's-
just kind of blindsided us as a board. We had no idea there was an issue, and that's as much our fault as maybe yours, we should have checked up to see how things were going. I do want to say, one thing in this community, we use because we have so many animals, I think we have 68 dogs and 67 cats right now. So we're using the local veterinarians and they can't keep up with us, but we thank heavens you have a great vet here. And he's helped out a lot too. I know some people have brought animals to him and then we came to pick them up. Just because that was convenient or something. Or the animal was injured and the people got them to him and then we came and got them from Dr. Wasson. So, and you guys wouldn't have known that necessarily, but that happened. I know just because I just know a few of those animals. Diesel and beautiful Pyrenees and.
I just know Diesel, yeah.
So.
It's sad.
But anyway, so again, this first year, we have the newly renovated facility and we're learning a lot and again, just apologize for maybe not following up with you sooner and maybe we could have worked out some of the things. But,
Thank you.
and maybe there'll be something in the future.
I was gonna say thank you, maybe we can present that to the council again at another date.
And possibly look at the contract to see if some things need worded differently. Another thing, and I wasn't at everything, but as I understood it, but I forget what it was for Redkey, that you all would contact the sheriff's office and see, we get dispatched by them a lot. And that has just worked great because we have a special phone just for that. But that too, I think, was maybe an issue. Who do you call? When do you call? And because that phone is on someone 24/7, and so because I've had to have it a few nights, but anyway, so I just kind of want to come and say maybe there's a future we can talk and apologize for not maybe coming sooner and finding out that there were some issues.
Thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, we totally understand.
Yeah, you was learning new things and they've been learning new things.
Well, we all have.
But, yeah.
Thank you.
Got a lot of
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for all your
And I do know that, I'm not trying to circle back around to it, but with like going to pick up people's cats, even if they're like stray cats per se, Indiana has like regulations and stuff where animals are seen as property. Like even at the clinic, we have to have proof of ownership that the person owns them before we just like take them and take care of them in that way. So even with coming out and taking stray cats for possibly to be farm cats, there has to be people like checked on first to make sure that they're not their animals per se, before they just come in and take them. Like I know there have been a couple dogs running around Redkey and they had to go through a couple different channels to make sure that the owner was either like deceased or they just like lost them,
So the owner has to be willing to give them up.
Yeah.
Even with Diesel, he had to be surrendered to us.
Yeah, there was a whole bunch of paperwork that we had to go through, and we couldn't just go out and take him. The owner had to be able to surrender them. And we had to do that with like stray cats too. We can't just come in and take them, or someone can't just bring them in because they seem hurt. The owner has to approve it first, or else there's a bunch of legalities that we can get into.
Thank you for that.
Thank you for your work. Yes.
I sat on, I'm here to support them, and I help the Humane Society. I've been on a task force now since 2018.
Wow.
I'm 30 years with Indiana State Police, ran the academy for 15 years, and ran a crime lab in the city of Indianapolis. So what I want to emphasize is what this young lady just said. A lot of people have this model of a dog warden, walking up on somebody's yard, grabbing this barking pup off. You can't do that.
Right.
Okay, and I think everybody, but educationally, I'm not sure everybody really understands that. And what she said, if Mindy, for instance, who has no police authority, goes, gets called, goes to somebody's house, and there's a whole bunch of mess going on there, and she goes up and knocks on the door, and they tell her, get out of here. She has no authority there. She can't.
Yeah.
This guy does. Okay, and like you said, he has state law to support him besides ordinance. Of course, then he's gotta have probable cause, he's gotta have other issues related to that dog call to make it something where you can make something happen, even to get it to the shelter. It's a lot more complicated than it sounds. A dog running loose, a little bit different. You know, I heard him, he's willing to grab him and take him in, and I know she does. And then, but there is a process with owners. I was talking to the sheriff today. There's a house, there's an eviction in Dunkirk. Guess what's there? 2 pit bulls.
So the people left them there?
Yep. What do? I'll just leave you with that. It's more, it sounds easy, but the old days of what happened in this county years ago are gone. The law does not support that, and you don't want it to. And you know, the way we take care of our animals says a lot about us as people too. And I know you want to all do the right thing. So I was just here to support her, and I think sometimes people get it twisted. Oh, they're animal control officers. They don't have any authority on somebody's property. When they're with him, makes a big difference.
So if they were, sorry, go ahead, Gloria.
I just wanna know, what if somebody's not taking care of their animals and you know they aren't? and
That's
they're not
the state
feeding-
law that covers that about abuse and neglect. This guy.
Okay. That's what I
And
was
then, and then they can come and help. They're more in a supportive role. Some counties have their animal control officers as full-fledged reserve deputies, and they go through reserve, you know, they'll go through training, etc., and actually have maybe the powers that he has currently with a 40-hour pre-basic. Okay, that can be done. It's not in this county. So, and there are costs to this. I think it was well that Mindy tells you a lot of these are volunteers, and a lot of them are barely breaking minimum wage, and you know, they're animal lovers that do it. There's a lot of volunteers out there, and we appreciate what you're trying to do as a community to make things better
I just hate to see
too.
it when people don't feed their animals.
Yeah, it's
And they're
sad.
sitting, and I've got too many of them.
It's sad.
I've got some of my family that do that.
Yeah, it's
You
just
know,
sad.
We're talking
I
about
don't
your
know.
family.
Ain't no doubt. I just recently read the news where some guy with Milton just tied his dog up outside and left it in Florida. And maybe you read that same news story. Well, guess what? He's in jail. So my point is there are things that can be done, but it's not always just turning to them to get it all done. And it's, I think, you know, all communities are evolving, and it just takes time.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I appreciate
Thanks for
that
letting us
information,
know.
yeah, 'cause I
Thank
wasn't
you
aware
for
of that
coming,
either.
and thank you guys for all that you do. And we're glad that you guys are out
It's a problem that'll never go away.
Yeah, years ago, we always had dog catchers and
there. So
stuff
because
like
this isn't
that.
an ordinance, we're not gonna talk about it, I'm gonna give it to them and let them write up an ordinance on it, and then we'll present
that the-
the facial hair, all right?
Now,
The facial.
it's more of a policy, right?
Huh?
It's more of a policy, right?
It's both in the personnel ordinance and the SOP.
Now, is that, I'm just curious that way I know, is that different than what so the facial hair, that's gonna be different than or it's not gonna be any different than the whole deal getting
Correct,
chickens?
they all work the same way, you have to follow the law. In order to get one put into place,
Alright.
yes.
So if he wants to have facial, what do we do? Write an ordinance up, change personnel policy, counselor?
So we have a personnel policy and the police SOP that says that the police are not allowed to have, they're not allowed to have any facial hair other than a beard right now. So in order to change that,
Beard?
yeah, they can't have a beard or a goatee, just a mustache.
You
So-
said beard.
Yeah, no beard, no goatee, only a mustache.
Yeah.
Okay, so in order to change that, we have to create an ordinance, right? To change the SOP and the personnel policy, which is an ordinance.
Correct.
And then we have to present it just like we do the other one, correct?
Yes.
Okay,
All the same way.
So I'm gonna make a motion on the floor to change the personnel policy on the facial hair.
we can make a motion to do that, but it still has to go 2 times to, so that's
I'll
fine.
make a motion.
And Gavin seconds the motion, so roll call vote. Lloyd, yes. Dave, yes. Jimmy, no. Brendan, no. And Gavin, yes. So,
No.
So if there's nothing else, this, is there?
Remember the guy with the cat?
Oh, yes, go ahead and stand up, sir, I didn't see you on the thing, so
So
I'm glad we have that.
What are we gonna do about the facial hair? We're going to
we're gonna
adopt
create an ordinance. We're gonna have the lawyer create an ordinance. So this is, Mr. John Watson, and this is actually for you, sir.
Yeah, I own property at 103 East High Street. Right now, it has a garage there. There was a building, and it burned down. I have a shed there right now, but I want to be able to buy another shed and make it, convert it into a living space. Do I need a mobile home or some other home there in order to do that, or can I just have a shed, which they show various sheds here, and you can get them in quite a few different sizes. 14 by 40 for $14,000, and that'd be a nice place to live.
So you wanna live in this, are you gonna have toilet
Yes, gotta have
and
everything.
shower and a place to cook
Right.
and all of that stuff?
Sure.
So you've got the one down there now, but you're gonna bring another one in, is that what you're
Yes, the
saying?
one down there is an 8
Yeah, I've
by
seen that one.
10, I think, or 8 by 12.
Can people
Mr.
live
Watson,
in a
what's
shed?
wrong?
They live in a barn, they have
Wait
barns.
a second. Hey,
Whoa.
order,
Ask this guy a
let's
question.
let the lawyer talk.
I don't know off the top of my head. I can speak with you afterwards, and I can look into that for you.
Okay.
Mr. Watson, do you have a garage down there, correct?
Yes,
Does it have can it be made in to have a sewer and water in it?
it would have to be done.
Could you do that? That's something that could be done?
Sure.
So what's the matter if you lived in the garage? We haven't done an ordinance.
I know there's
We
state
asked about
guidelines,
that.
is there not?
There's no ordinance. We have no building law here in this town.
I know that Mr. Brooks told you at one point that there was state guidelines, and so I think that the lawyer's gonna,
We don't have any ordinance on it,
right, I think, that's why this is a legal issue, it's not a my issue.
Counselor, what's the law?
I think the police officer has.
I've actually looked into this on my own because I thought it'd be cool to have a tiny home at one point. And what he's talking about isn't your normal garage. Have you ever been in one of those portable buildings? Like they have room for insulation, they run electric, they run everything. There's room for small ductwork.
Okay, these
And-
have none of that in it. It's just.
Right, but you
doors.
can put that in.
You're
is
gonna
what I'm
do
saying.
that though, right?
You can put it in, and then, but
Wait,
the
I'll
issue,
do that.
the issue that he's gonna run into is unless it's mobile, then if it sets down, you're gonna have to prove that you have water, sewage, and everything's gonna be to code. Like it can't be just you living in it and nothing, 'cause
I know.
so I think
Well,
that's
yeah,
cost
if somebody lives in it, they have to have all the facilities
Yeah.
that.
Right,
a home
so
has.
the biggest thing though is that it has to make sure, like you would have to have Tressler come out and put something different in there. So it would be like almost a new house.
Counselor, if he puts water and puts ample sewage in there, he can live in it, right? Can he not?
I don't know the particular
Well,
laws in this area.
We don't have no
And we
buildings
have
in
an
this town.
ordinance on mobile homes and all of that
What's that?
stuff, so
You gotta treat it like an
There's
actual
no building
house.
ordinance in this town.
Okay.
Can I ask
So I don't know what state law might say something, and
So,
I don't.
There's
so
no
he's
zoning.
saying that he's gonna have to get back with you.
Yeah.
He's gonna talk to you after this meeting, and
We'll
then,
get we'll get more details, and then we can go.
then
from
he
there.
will get back with you.
Can I ask a question?
I don't think
Is
we
there water
have a
already
problem
there?
with you doing this, we just
There
have to
should be
make
a meter
sure.
already there where the house was. There should be a meter there already, water. 'cause
There's a
there-
water meter
So
there.
that's right, it should already be
So
there.
don't the homes, even
Should
the
be
mobile
sewer
homes in
there.
our town, according to our ordinance, have to have some kind of a foundation? So is this gonna be on a foundation?
I think he's willing to do whatever he has to do.
That's what
Yeah, I
I'm
know, I
asking.
don't know yet at this time, I have no idea.
Okay.
I need to find out if it even is allowed, what
Mr.
kind of
Watson,
foundation I need.
You're talking down where Donnie Fribble used to live, right on that corner.
Yeah.
What?
You're talking about the corner where Donnie Fribble used to live on that
Right.
corner, down by Red Coons, right?
Right.
Yeah,
That house burnt down, what, 2 or 3 years ago?
I
yeah.
don't know how long
There
it was.
was a guy that come to this town, I can give you his number, I got it retained, but he talked to Randy, me and Randy Young, and he had all the dimensions, and I know he couldn't put a manufactured house, I don't think he put a trailer in either because of the depth of the lot. We have the ordinance, which I put a trailer and stuff in.
We can put a trailer.
I thought he was gonna put a trailer in, I thought, or maybe it's a manufacturer, but it's like so far off the property, it's gotta be like 10 foot.
Yeah.
But the modular wouldn't fit the specs. But now trailer might be a whole different story. But you
Right.
still have to get the trailer has to be so new.
Okay.
And
That's why
it's
you
all
know
in the
how far
ordinance.
back from the sidewalk when it be. I looked online and seen where the original home was, and it looked like it was maybe no more than 10 foot.
Well, we have an ordinance in the, you have to look it up. It's got the dimensions, how far you have to set back off the property line. That's with a manufactured home or a trailer.
You would just have to make sure whether that portable building
These
falls.
tiny homes are getting pretty popular.
Falls in, like, I'm sure you'd agree, like, you just have to make sure whether that portable building falls in underneath mobile, or whether it can be on a foundation and be considered.
And that's just what I'm not sure
Yeah,
about.
and that-
I don't know if
That's why he wants to
classified
talk to him afterwards, and then he'll have to get with Mara, and then they'll have to get back with you
I
on
need to
what
know
the state,
what's required
state
and
law
what to do.
laws
What they should
require.
Mr. Watson, do you know Randy Young?
Huh?
You know Randy Young? Okay. I say, if you know him, you can talk to him, he can tell you what to expect. But he's the fire chief here in town, so if you ever catch him at the fire station. He lives over on Central, if you know Central. You know where Central Avenue is?
I don't.
The street right here.
Okay.
He lives all the way down the right.
Okay. Yeah, I've seen the fire.
So that's the man, he can tell you what the exact specs are.
Okay.
The lawyer can.
So you'll get with, the attorney after this meeting, and he'll tell you what you guys are gonna do from here. Is that okay?
Sounds good.
All right,
His
perfect.
name said,
I know.
Good luck.
But Brooks said no, or one of the attorneys said no, the lady, remember the lady lawyer that Brooks sent here? She told him that it wasn't allowed. So if there's not, Mark, go ahead.
Couple things with the fire department. I think you guys probably heard that Rescue 19, Jay County Rescue 19 is disbanded.
Right.
And they parted out their equipment to all the different fire departments in the county. And we were able to get some equipment from them for that. In addition, we are able to get the old Rescue 19 truck as well, as an addition to our fire department. So that would obviously need to be registered and put on the insurance and everything like that. And I'm not sure if we needed a vote to do that. What's that?
I got a question for you. 52 or 54, what's wrong with it? Is the motor bad?
It's actually 53, but yes, it's the so the pump is good in it, but in order to run the pump, so I guess back up one step. This rescue truck has nothing to do with the pump, or two completely separate things. It fixes another problem we have because the bed of our rescue truck is also rusting out.
The motor and the Ford's bad.
But yes, the motor in the old pumper, which is 53, it's the motor that's bad. The pump's still
I was under
good.
the impression it was the other truck, the motor's bad, yeah, it was going bad.
No, 53, the backup pumper, one that we don't use very often.
So will you get with Gloria then with the VIN numbers and stuff so that she can get with Kyle to get you guys, hooked up with insurance and stuff for that?
And then the other thing, so I was talking to Randy a little bit about the situation out here on the highway. So he is aware of it. He hasn't actually talked to, he told me his name, I forget. Well, no, he hasn't talked to the deputy fire marshal, so he does have his name. But he said that he hasn't heard anything from you guys about it. He heard third hand from the deputy fire marshal talking to another fire chief who talked to him. So you guys just need to communicate with him, whether it's a phone call or a text, or I gave you guys the fire department email. So I don't know how long ago it was that you guys heard about it, but Randy hasn't heard anything from the town that there's a problem out there with the deputy fire marshal. And he said he'll try to call him tomorrow, but he doesn't know. We'll have to figure out what law he's violating. So without having any town ordinance or any town zoning, so it doesn't fall under zoning. So it might be a question for the lawyer too, to find out what law he's violating, or if there's some ordinance he's violating, then it probably fall to Mr.
Fire
Cage.
marshal said it was whatever chemical he was containing. I don't
Those
know
big
what's in
tanks.
he was concerned about those big tanks.
Right.
When you get stuff out there, you know what?
But what law is that violating is the
Right.
question.
IDEM falls under IDEM.
Yeah, so I don't know if it's gonna be an IDEM thing, or if it falls under one of our ordinances that would fall to the police to follow up on, but he said he would call the deputy fire marshal tomorrow and find out about it, but his request is, whenever we have something like that, if you have something that has to do with the fire department, get a hold of him. I mean, he's still the fire chief, so you gotta get a hold of him, whether it's phone call, email, text, whatever, so.
We didn't know we had to though, did we? I mean, we're not very smart. I mean, we just started, we don't know we had to do that.
Since he left, we don't communicate very well.
Well, and I guess that's what I'm saying.
No, my
You guys are asking me
fault.
with the fire department what we're doing with it, but nobody's communicated with the guy that's in
It's a
charge of the fire
two-way
department.
street, that
so-
communication is.
Right,
Yeah, we had some invoices I had to receive,
yeah.
and I contacted Bruce, and Bruce, I got him the next day, but
Like I said,
we all need to get along.
I agree, 100%. And I said, I mean, if you guys don't want to talk to him, I get that.
I don't have any problem,
and-
but, you know, he
but,
doesn't.
Yeah, email. I mean, you can email him.
Well, you
I
give
sent
me
you
that-
an email,
give
the
us
fire
the
department email
email.
the other day.
You sent it to me per email? Cause will you just
Text.
give it to me again? Okay.
I sent it to you on the meeting Tuesday.
All right,
You were
then
talking
I
about
have
that. I sent
your text. Okay.
my email and then the fire department
Okay,
email.
alright, I have them both, I remember that, yes.
We'll start emailing him,
Okay.
see if he'll answer that.
Anything else, Mark?
Now we're sure he's
Hey,
gonna-
Mark.
Question?
What are,
Wait a second.
Tell me.
Somebody's-
do we know what trick or treating hours are? That's usually.
On the 31st from 6 to 8, yeah.
Who owns the, Redkey website? Does the town own the website?
What's that guy's name? Darren,
You looking at me?
let me look him up here. It was Mary Ely's daughter dated him, Bogenschutz.
Bogenschutz.
Yeah, but
So-
Darren Bogenschutz, we pay him. and
Not
he-
Darren.
It's not Darren.
Derek.
Derek, yes.
So, has Redkey got a website?
The town of Redkey.org.
Is it active?
It is active.
So, who owns that?
I don't know who, he controls it. That guy made that and we pay him to use his website.
But who owns the website?
I would assume he does.
I don't know who owns
It's
it.
it's Indiana, Redkey.org, I would assume we own it, right?
He is a contractor that comes up with the town.
He got in trouble though. I don't know if he still does that.
I still email him and he still does all of our changes. So, okay, so what's the point in this? Cause we pay
I've
him.
had some complaints about this stuff on my website.
On which website? On Facebook?
Redkey.org.
Oh, like what's going on with it? Cause I don't.
Inappropriate stuff.
No, you're talking about the town of Redkey Facebook page, and Mark Lovett started that.
I'm not saying it's wrong.
What did I start?
The town hall page on Facebook, did you start that?
I didn't.
Who
I
started
started two or
that?
three other Facebook sites, but not that one.
Who started that?
I believe it was, it might have been, I think it was Debbie James, actually.
So, and there's only certain people that are admins. Mark is one, Billy's one, Heather's one, I don't know who all.
So Debbie James started that, I believe, when she was in office, unless it was before her. Whenever it went to Mary, basically nobody picked that up, so there was no admin for it. So I grabbed the admin rights and gave it to Mary so she could have control over it. And then when you guys took over office, I tried to give it to Gloria first, and then she requested to give it to Billy. So I'm technically an admin on that page. I don't have nothing to do with it. So I've been keep telling Billy, it's like, I want to leave it up to you guys what you do with that.
You do anything on Facebook you want to, and that's where the stuff is coming from, and you can't control it. Only the admins can control what they don't want on there. But the town of Redkey.org is totally controlled, and there's nothing on there but ordinances and emails, and that's it.
But I've been told that there's been some people in this room that's been on there that's employed by this town that is saying some derogatory things.
Well, we can't control what Facebook, what you do on Facebook.
They work for this town. So.
Tell us what, just bring up what's being said, and we'll know what we can do about
I
it.
just thought I'd bring it up.
'Cause I don't get on there.
Alright, second.
A second.
Alright. Oh, it's adjourned? Meeting is adjourned.
Who first?